construction using SketchUp Pro and Layout. These programs have infiltrated every phase of my design process. From capturing and recording existing conditions with our Canvas 3D scanner to generating and iterating design concepts, using SketchUp for what it was really intended to be used for, all the way down to construction documents. Today, I'm going to take you on a 2-year journey from demolition to addition. I'm going to explain in extreme technical detail how I designed and documented a massive home renovation in Denver, Colorado. And here's the house that we're going to be working on. So along the way, I'm going to introduce you to the supporting cast of my favorite extensions, applications, and resources that make this entire thing possible. So, sound good so far? Yes. Okay, so I appreciate you guys being in here on my session. I'm Mike Brightman. My company's Brightman Designs. Thank you for coming to the session, and thank you for being at Basecamp. That is much appreciated. This is a format that I don't want to see go away. This is like one of my favorite things to do. So really appreciate you guys being here. We're going to go through, this is essentially, I'm going to show you what I've been up to for the last 2 years, designing, documenting, and getting this house built. So I'm going to show you how I did that. The first step of any renovation project, as I mentioned, is gathering our existing conditions drawing. So I got to have something that I can rely on when I'm designing. So I do use the Canvas 3D scanner. I know those guys are out there and I am not an affiliate or anything, I just am a fan of their product. What used to take me an entire morning to measure with 2 people, I now just go wave my iPad around and I can get that whole house scanned in about an hour. So after I've done scanning, I just upload those scans to their website, they email me back all the files, all the scans, they come through in color. I get the 3D models, you can get CAD drawings. And so essentially where we're gonna pick up now is when I download that existing conditions model and it's time to demo. So let's get to it. I'll close out of here and show you guys my Condoc Lite drawing set. So Condoc Tools is a product that I created. I passed out those flyers. If you're interested, FlexTools.cc, we do have a 7-day trial, and that's what I'm going to be working with here as well. So I'm going to load up my first drawing set here. And we're going to load up Condoc Lite. Now, Condoc Lite works with any layers, tags, any model organization to automate scenes and essentially automate drawings. So what I can do is activate the plan generator, and we're going to say this is a 1-story house with a basement, and I want to get my CAD floor plans. And we're working off of our origin. So my basement is going to be at 0, and we're going to say that my level 1 is going to be at 8 feet, like that. So I'll click Setup Project, and that's going to run our plan generator. And so now we have our CAD floor plan in the basement, and then we have our main level. So essentially what I'm showing you is that if you get a 3D scan back from Canvas, you just push these buttons, kick them over into layout, and what we do is we use our Condoc export to bundle these up into scrapbooks. So it's going to set it to 1/4 inch scale, adjust our line weights, our render settings. Everything's going to land over in layout. So I'll kick that over there and save it. And then let's go take a look at layout. So I'm going to go to the File dropdown, start a new document. When I'm working early in the process, I like to use a presentation title block. So I'll go with like a 13 by 19 landscape. And then let's just check if that's done exporting. We're good to go. So everything always lands in our Condoc drawings scrapbook, and then I can just drag and drop my drawings on there, like that. So let's go to the next page to get our next drawing. And there's our other plan. So then I can just scoot these viewports around, and what's nice about this is that this is just a SketchUp model inserted into layout, just like you would do with all the native commands using SketchUp and layout. So at this point, Condoc has done its job. It automated the connection between SketchUp and layout, And so we can also head over to our annotations. And so we have like a bunch of different symbols that you can use to dress up these drawings a bit. And essentially what we do then is go to File, Export, PDF, and then save this to our desktop temp. I'll just call it Existing Conditions, like that. And we'll export this and check those out. So just like that, you can go scan your house. You can get that 3D model back. We've got this perfect starting point. And so now we're ready to rock. But if you're like me, I was wondering about the accuracy of these drawings. So let's take a look at, how accurate these are. So what I did is I took my existing conditions drawings and I dimensioned them inside of layout, which normally you wouldn't really do, put dimensions on existing conditions. I wanted to print them out, go back to the house, and take a look at like how accurate these drawings actually are. So I dropped the tape measure on it, recorded a bunch of just random dimensions, and the results were pretty impressive. So here we've got like 59.06 is what I got in my model from Canvas, 57.5, good enough. That's kind of a short dimension, right? And then I thought, well, what about like an overall dimension of like a whole living room? So checking like from wall to wall in the living room, I ran the tape on that. And so that one came back like even closer for the longer dimension, 173.5, about an inch off. So overall, for an existing conditions, in my opinion, this is as good as it gets. I've used this, used Canvas and used this process on at least a dozen projects, and really never had a problem. So definitely recommended to use that Canvas 3D scanner. Let's move on. All right, we'll talk about some design sketches. All right, so personally, I like to use the old school drafting tools. I like to get my hands on the pencils, the pens, the markers, print out my drawings, and then get to sketching. So it's important to have those perfect existing conditions drawings so I can roll out my trace paper, get the pens, and get to it. So this is my first concept that I came up with. And so we're going to have, our basement is really not changing all that much. So we're going to go with the U-shaped stair, kind of relocating that staircase. 1 bedroom, bathroom, HVAC, and laundry. Looks good to me. So then we'll also dig out some light wells on the right-hand side. Then we're gonna pull that trace paper off, throw down the next floor plan, and then keep working up and sketching. We've got some more plans to make. So on this level, again, you can see that our stairs keep marching up along that wall. In the foyer, right when you walk in, there's going to be like a 2 or 3 story space going up. We're going to anchor that really heavy concrete wall, 2-story space over the living room as well, attached to the kitchen. Not totally sold on the family room and the shower just yet, but sometimes you just got to lay down a plan, start goofing around, and see what's going to work. So that's really where we're at here. Then also guest suite in the bottom left. This is going to be the 2nd floor. We've got the staircase marching up. Yeah, we're getting close on the stairs, but it's a little goofy, kind of running up an extra run. You can see our 2-story spaces, and then we've got our bedroom, bedroom 2 with like a full suite, bathroom suite, and then our master bedroom as well, with a possible deck up front, maybe in the middle, I don't know. Anyway, so now we're going to keep going up, and we're going to work with the wellness level. On this level, the client wants to have a plunge, like a cold plunge and a sauna and a wet bar. And you can see when you're looking over all the way down to the foyer, that's pretty cool. We're talking about a loft hammock there. Then the wet bar goes out the back to a deck. So pretty cool stuff early on, generating these concepts. I was pretty excited about it. And so what we got to do now is get these sketches tightened up. So we're going to pull these sketches into layout, and let's take a look at the demo. You guys are kind of quiet. You know, I thought you guys were going to be like the 4 o'clock lively crowd, you know? So that's okay. So let's go. We're going to go into layout, and I'm going to start a new document, and we're going to work with, again, one of my templates. And these 7 templates, when you install Condoc, everything gets dropped into your program files. So you install that RBZ inside of SketchUp, and then it drops all these resources in the layout for you. So, and those resources include these title blocks. I'm gonna go with that 13 by 19. And then we're gonna head over to our files here, and I've got like my sketches. So basically what I did is I scanned these sketches, and just a little bit of Photoshop, I suppose, but you could probably just use the JPEG. And I'm just gonna pull in like level 1. All right, so here's the sketch, and here's what I do to kind of button these up. So this is a bit of a teaching moment here. If I right-click and choose Make Group, I can then right-click again and choose Scale. Well, I'm gonna set these to a 1/4 inch scale. Now, that doesn't mean that this is perfectly scaled just yet. So what I'm gonna do is double-click in. I'm gonna turn off my grid snap, and I'm gonna draw a line right here. I always draw my stairs at 3 feet wide when I'm starting off in the beginning. So let me go to my shape style and turn on the stroke with a different color. All right, so now, and let me thicken that up so you guys might be able to see that a little bit better. And I'll just draw a line straight up, and when I create this scaled drawing, I can type 6 feet, enter, like that. So now, that line is exactly 6 feet, and then what I want to do is scale this sketch. So I take my precise move grip, and I can position that right on that line there. And then if I hold Shift and Alt, I can scale it about that precise move grip. So that's kind of a handy way to just scale this drawing up. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It can just be close, because we're going to end up tightening this thing up using our scale drawing options inside of Layout. All right, so that looks pretty good. I'll back out of here. Another thing you might consider doing, I'll center vertically, center horizontally. And then sometimes what I do is I just draw like a big rectangle around this guy, like that. And then I'll select that rectangle, and we're gonna change the fill to be a transparent white, and then turn off our stroke. And so that way you can just kind of fade it out just a bit. Maybe I'll take all this stuff and just lock it for now. And so now what we're ready to do is start developing this space plan, like really tightening it up using Condoc 2D. So that's going to be the next thing, next demonstration here will be switching over to this different scrapbook. We've got our Condoc 2D, and so this is a collection of scaled symbols like building elements, furniture, pianos, plants. I'll just skip through those real quick so you can see them. And maybe I'll just make this a little bit bigger and stretch this down so it expands. A bunch of different tables, all that stuff is in there. Ready to just be dragged and dropped right into layout so you can develop a space plan in 2D. So typically what I would do is I'll just start with like an 8-inch wall and drop it right here. These guys are already scaled drawings. So I can just double click in here and stretch this wall down. And then here's a little trick for drafting in layout. If I scale this, if I stretch it and hold Control, I can make a copy. I'm gonna type in -30 inches, enter. And so now that square, or that rectangle, is a perfect 30 inches. I'm gonna scale this way over like that. I'll say -5 feet, enter. Maybe, let's see, let's try -4 feet, like that. So you can go through and start to really tighten up these drawings using these very simple basic symbols inside of layout, and really like develop this plan rather quickly. Instead of doing that trick I just showed you, maybe I'll do like a precise move. Hold Control and copy it over to there, and then keep on marching down the line like that. And then we can throw like a 30, back out of here because you can't put a scale drawing in a scale drawing. Back out of here and throw like a 32-inch door on there, like that, rotate it around, and away we go, right? So what that ends up looking like is, let's see, we'll pull in our concept plan. And this is from that actual project, so this is really what I came up with, pulling in these plans, these sketches, and then buttoning them up, adding all these different symbols, like, if you want a dining room table, throw a chandelier over the foyer. We have all that stuff already added in there. All right, so let me show you the way the layers are set up on this, because I think that's of interest to you guys too. If I turn off my proposed drawings, notice that I took my existing conditions drawings, selected them all, thinned out the line weights, set it to be a bit of a grayscale, and then when I put my proposed drawings on top of it, it essentially makes like a demolition plan. That's an old CAD trick. That one's been around forever, but it works inside a layout too. So you can kind of get these pretty informative plans rather quickly using this system. And also we have our backgrounds on there. So you can kind of see buried in there, we've got our sketches all kind of laying behind. You can see that I sorted out a better solution for that bathroom that was dividing the kitchen and the living, and we've got a viable space plan. Okay, so now what I would do, I would want to get this drawing out of layout back into SketchUp so that I can start working out a concept exterior design. So what I'm going to do is turn off my existing conditions, because those will come in as a bunch of lines I don't want. And so if I just kind of look at like all these different plans and turn off those existing conditions, and we're good there, and then there are no existing conditions or backgrounds on these levels. So File, Export, PDF, kick this out to my desktop temp folder. I'll save it there, export, overwrite, and that's the final product. So I think that these are great drawings just to work with up front. Not even goofing around with SketchUp yet. So I don't know, some people like to go straight into SketchUp and start designing. Me personally, I like to develop a concept that I can run with, and when I get into SketchUp, I've got a direction, I've got a plan, you know, a concept that's viable. And so that's what we're going to do now, is import these plans into SketchUp. So I do that using John Brock's PDF importer. So if I go to File and choose Import, with his plugin, you get a PDF option in your file types. So now I can pull that PDF from my desktop temp, and I believe that was called Concept A. And so it's Concept A. And then we have these grips. You can constrain and pull them in like that. We can kind of crop out all the title block stuff and then choose Import PDF. The benefit of PDF Importer is it brings everything in as vector line work. So that means that like when I'm drafting in here, you know, I can snap to it. It's not like a vector image, a raster image. So when I start, you know, pushing and pulling, I've got something to snap to, like this, and then I can kind of pull in here. And because I was being accurate inside of layout, you know, these are built off of these existing conditions, this is going to be a decent model that comes out of here. All right, so you know, you would go through and essentially you do the same thing and keep stacking, you know, stack each one of your floor plans, get them all lined up. But I want to kind of get on to the next here and see, you guys get the idea of stacking all these plans, and then we'll go on to building out this SketchUp model. So let's see, here we go, concept model. So this is me working in SketchUp with this project. I'm telling you, it got a little boring during the pandemic. I recorded everything I was doing on this project, from the design, the drafting, everything in SketchUp. I've got like 80 hours of just screen capturing and me just talking to the camera saying, here's what I'm doing. Well, it came in handy for this presentation. So what I like is that volley between the drawing tools and the modification tools. Breaking up surfaces so you can push and pull them, offset, push and pull, really using SketchUp for what it was originally intended to do, be this 3D sketching tool for architects. At this stage of the game, I'm not at all worried about model organization. I'm not grouping, I'm not layering. That is just not important now. So once we get our concept model created, we can start doing solid void studies, adding in some materials, and just further refining this. So keep in mind, we have those viable plans inside of this model. The outside of this model is nothing more than just kind of a skin. So it's responding to those plans. But now we're starting to kind of get this thing pulling together where form is following function, and we can get to another demo. Yes, yes, demos. Yeah, demos, let's go. Like, come on now, let's get this going. It's the end of the day here. This is a tough spot. So, all right, so we'll head over to back into SketchUp here. Now again, Condoc Lite, I want to show you how I can snapshot elevations, and I can pull these elevations back into that same presentation. we're going to keep evolving. We're going to keep moving moving the ball forward, really. We're never going to like restart and just do it over. So you can see this is this is the model. This was an early design concept. Not the best, but hey, anything flies. You know, you just throw it down and scoot it to the side. I think we're going to move on from that one. I'll delete it. I'm gonna do a save as. Throw this on my desktop temp because I actually have to do this presentation again. So I'll save that over there. And then this guy, this is again just kind of like thinking through what could this be. We don't need that. We're going to get rid of it as well. All right, and then as far as like the site goes, I'm not worried about our context right this second. You know, we could just hide those because I might want them later. This site, I'm going to group and hide that chunk of it. And then let's get rid of all of this stuff here. I'm going to hide it, and hide it. Now you can see that this like orange glass around it, that's like our bulk plane. In Denver, you know, you have all your setbacks and it goes up 15 feet, cuts in, and there's all these rules that we have to respond to. I built those into this model so that when I'm working out that building form, I at least have an idea of what's allowed. So that's what you're seeing there. I'm going to hide those for now. And then I think we've got like a bunch of text in here, and that's okay. I can just hide those pieces. So Condoc Light, when I'm running this and creating scenes, it's going to snapshot whatever's, it's going to record whatever's hidden at that time. So we're still on our Condoc Light. I'm going to activate my elevation tool, and we'll click on the front of the building. And we'll get our elevation tool and click. And now we have these different styles to choose from. I've already set these up. You know, you've got either CAD, color, or sketch. So personally, I like, let's go with, I don't know, it doesn't matter. I like CAD elevation shadows, although we do have materials in here, so color would be just fine too. I'll click the elevation tool, click on the side of the house, CAD elevation shadows, like that. Orbit around to the back, activate my elevation tool, click CAD elevation shadows. Notice that it's adding the scenes along the top of the screen, and it's numbering them sequentially. So I can just throw one more on there, CAD elevation shadows, and here's what we come up with. So we're getting, let's see, so we got our shadows broken apart, good there. We break them into two pieces so that we can do this kind of like dot pattern on our shadows, which is kind of slick. And we're going to end up compiling those into a layout. So to do that, same drill. I export my CAD elevations. Everything's at 1/4 inch. That looks good to me. Over in layout, we're good there. We're off those symbols. So let's go ahead and say send to layout and save it. So now what Condoc is doing is it's bundling up all these scenes, assigning already pre-decided render settings, like these are going to be raster and vector. So the shadows have to be raster. The line work should always be vector. It's going to compile those for us, set the scale, dial in the line weights, and really just think, I've already thought all that stuff through, so that if you just use this stock Condoc, it's going to look good, but you certainly have the ability to tweak any and all of this. All right, back over to layout. So again, this is like our concept plans that we were working with coming together. So maybe I would go to the end of this presentation, hit the plus sign to add a page, go back to my Condoc drawings like that. And so now we're going to have all of our elevations dropped in here. So like that, and then we'll go in to the next page, add another page like this. You can see when I click that elevation tool, what it does is it bounces a section plane 5 feet off the wall. And so you can see it kind of landed right on my fence. Let's fix that real quick. So we'll check our shadows. Let's see, which one is it? This guy here. So I can go back and turn on my section cuts, move that just a little bit, and then save it. Go back into layout, check my references, and this is now out of date. So then we just select our reference, and then we're going to update it. And this is kind of a good talking point right here. You guys ever have any performance issues with layout? Perhaps? So it can just, at this moment is where I find there's a bit of lag, is when you're selecting a reference and you're updating it. It's like even just to select the reference takes a moment. Well, I'm just gonna hit update and we'll see this, this elevation get fixed. But what I would recommend and what I found like almost doubles the performance is if you open layout first and then hit edit on your SketchUp model reference. So what I would do is select this reference and hit edit. And if I open my SketchUp model from layout, it creates a bit of a live sync situation so that as I'm saving, it's kind of automatically updating, automatically rendering. I found that to at least like double the performance. I'd be curious what you guys find when you give it a shot. So instead of opening your SketchUp model and opening layout, just open layout and then hit edit on your reference and see if that moves a little faster for you. Perfect, so we're getting there. We've got our concept plans and elevations, you know, kind of wrapped into one presentation. Certainly we could go back to our condoc annotations, or really any scrapbook and just start throwing in those drawing titles. We've got like graphic scales. We could go back to our plans and throw in a north arrow. So really hand it over all those different pieces for you. Oh, let's take a look now at what's next. We did form and conceptual. So let's go on to, let's see, we're gonna start with our design development. So we would then export this. We have something to present. Let's talk about refining our model just a bit. So we're gonna start over here. Basically, when it's time to build a much more accurate SketchUp model, I head over to the 3D warehouse, and Condoc is one of the featured collections on there. And in the featured collections, we have our model organization guides. So you can load these right into your SketchUp model. And what this is like all of our grouping and all of our layering has been completely sorted out for you already. So basically my system works off of level, element, location, condition. With those 4 descriptors, you can describe any building, any interior design project. And you can see as I click on each of those 25 different elements, you can see how the tags are already assigned, right? And then if you go in just a little bit further and take a look at one of these, and then we double click into the walls, for instance, you can see we have an interior group and an exterior group. Each of those gets their own layer. And then we double click in there, and then we have our different new, existing, and demolished as far as our conditions go. The last tile is locked, and it's also on a layer called always off, so it always disappears from your drawings. It's locked so that you can just drill in, and it's like a backstop. So you can see now, as I start turning off these layers, you can see that, you know, we turned off all of our conditions, we turn off our locations of interior and exterior, and then we'll go through and turn off all 25 of our elements. Things like doors, walls, windows, floors, and ceilings. Basically, I've included everything that you could possibly need to describe an architectural project. And then last would be your level. Now, how do we use these? So this is our canvas model on the left. And so I just grab the walls and cut them. On the right is our model organization guide, our proposed conditions model. So we just drill into the walls existing into exterior and do a paste in place. And then at that point, we can grab our interior walls, then go over to our proposed conditions, and we're gonna drill into our walls, interior, existing, and then we're gonna paste in place. So now we've like organized our walls by interior and exterior, and they're also tagged as existing. So you can start to see what that looks like. We accomplished this without creating any groups and without assigning any layers or tags in the entity info dialog. So they're controlled by interior, exterior, and our walls. So that's that nesting system that really can break this down. Something like our roof, which is going to be demolished for sure. This is a pop top. We're going to blow the lid off this place. We just select it from our existing group, cut it, back out one level, and then we're going to double click into our demolished tag. And then we do a paste in place, and now this roof is going to be defined as something to be demolished. It's important that we know that so we can make a proper demo plan, demo elevations, and then get rid of it when we need it, but also be able to bring it back if we need to reference it. All right, then here's me creating some new walls. So I use my push-pull tool To extrude the walls horizontally, I tap Control or Option on the Mac to leave a copy of the starting face behind, clean up the geometry, use my Select tool to triple click. Again, I go to Edit, choose Cut, Control X, and then we're going to go find the right tile in our model organization guide. That's going to be our walls, interior, new. We're going to drill in, it hits the locked tile, it's a backstop, and then we can hit Edit and choose Paste in Place. There it is. So now we can take a look at how those layers are set up, what that looks like. We're controlling our walls by existing and new. We're able to parse them out by exterior and interior, and still our walls controls everything. Yes, it's demo time. All right.
Wait.
Yeah, demo time. Yeah. I got one big fan back there. I like it. Perfect. Let's see. So, what are we demoing now? There's a lot going on up here. So, all right. So what I want to show you is, I explained my model organization system, level, element, location, condition. And so I've gone and put everything into the proper place. And so now we've got our design development model. Essentially, we've sorted this thing out. We've made it real, right? So those sketches are really starting to come to life here. And I can even just kind of walk in the front door like this. And if I look up, you can see we've got our loft hammock up there. Not a super detailed model. I'm just kind of massing this out. I don't want to lock myself into something extremely detailed and then have to go change it around. It's much easier to work with just kind of some simple massings that do generate floor plans, but that's what we're getting at here. And then let's go take a look at our model organization guides. So if I take a look at my tags and turn on my always off layer tag. So that's where my model organization guides sit. And then we have this thing that comes along with Condoc. It's called the Condoc system. It's like a heads-up display. And so what this does is it automates all these different layer states. So like back in the CAD days, maybe it was list routines and running these different layer states. Well, I can go with like, which level do I want to be on? So I can toggle through all my level layers or turn them all on. And then I can also choose to toggle interior. Sorry, I gotta load up our Condoc Pro drawing set, because now that we have everything layered, we know what those are, so Condoc is gonna automate those. So let me just load Condoc Pro. And now, as we can navigate through our levels and then go with interior, exterior, like that. And then it also like existing and demolished, click design to get back to like everything's turned on. I always create like a tour tab so I can kind of get back to something that looks good for a client. But the idea is that when you parse your model out in this way, you can peel it apart in all these like meaningful ways, all right? Now, this SketchUp model, this is eventually gonna go into layout for sure, but before we go creating our construction documents, let's take a look at creating some rendering. So definitely a huge fan of Lumion and Lumion LiveSync. I'm gonna click the LiveSync button. And so the same model that we're using for our drawings and developing there, we're just gonna kick this thing over into Lumion and generate some renderings. So in my opinion, Lumion is by far the best solution for stills and animations. It is the fastest, easiest. You push a button in SketchUp and then you've got something that looks okay, but we're gonna make it look much better. I'm gonna select it and I'm just gonna hit reload one time and see if I can get those textures to jog back in. And then we're gonna move it straight up on the blue. I'm gonna set this to be 10 to get it sitting up. There we go. And so now we're gonna switch over to our materials dialog. So if I just click on the grass, I can go over to our various materials, 3D grass, and switch that out to a 3D grass. You can double click in, you can mess with the grass size, the length, you can even cut the grass. There's all kinds of options in here. Everything is real time, it's just sliders. There is no faster or easier rendering program than Lumion. That's my opinion. All right, so then you can see that anything that was named glass came in good already. If I go back here and take a look at our pool, the water, it had water in the material name, so that's already hooked up. So we're in good shape. And maybe just to get some like super quick and dirty renderings, I might just back out here, say okay, and then go over to our content library and click place. And then we're gonna go with like well, let's go pick our tree. We need to go to our nature library. I might hit the search button, type in elm, hit enter. Nice new feature is the ability to like roll the scroll wheel to navigate through your libraries. That's pretty sweet. And then just go pick some trees, like this one looks good. Let's go with a paint placement, because I'm just trying to get like the horizon taken care of. So we can just pick some different trees, throw those in there. We'll go like that. And then zoom in, and let's take a look at what we got. So I'm just trying to like block out that horizon. Maybe I'd also go into one of these other libraries. I'll close out our search, check out our flowers, and maybe I'll pick one of those guys. I'm gonna say okay, and then go with a mask placement. And so for this, I'm gonna get rid of that tree, maybe throw some other flowers in there, some different colors, and then click the place button, hold control, and then I can just like throw some flowers in there, dial up the number of items, change the, randomize the direction, randomize our spacing, randomize an offset. So it's so quick and easy just to knock out some super dirty, like quick and dirty renderings. Like at this stage of the game, this is definitely good enough, all right? So let's hop into our photo studio, and then I'll show you how this renders. And maybe one more thing here. I'm just going to go to our place, and we're going to go with our broadleaf trees, and I'll just pick like something to go in the front yard. I don't know. Maybe I'll hold L, and that makes it a little bit bigger. So something like that would be cool. All right, looks good to me. So now we'll hop into our photo studio. We can kind of find our view. Personally, I like to set my focal length to 35. So 35, enter. That seems to be pretty decent for my extras. Hit enter. All right, so now you can certainly go through and add a bunch of effects. We've got like 2-point perspective, shadows, reflections, hyperlight. This is the fun part. You can throw outlines on it. You can really develop your own style in Lumion, and then you can save it. And that's what I've done. So I usually just go and load an effect stack. So I'm gonna go with, this is gonna be under content. This will be like that. So I have one for daytime. So I'll just open that daytime effect stack. It brings in all of my favorite effects in Lumion. And so now, maybe I would just go into like my real skies and change the heading. Get your shadows doing what you want it to do. I can click in the preview window. That'll give you a nice quick render. And then I could snapshot my view. We're good to go there. And then I'll head to the backyard and maybe throw down one more view like this. I can always adjust my focal length, click here, snapshot my view, and we can just load that same effect stack again. And then again, go back to our real skies and tweak that sun placement. There we go. Now, rendering back in the day used to take forever. Now I can go to my photo set, kick out both of these guys. I'll just do 1920 by 1080 to my desktop temp. And then usually I would say like 220928 and hit enter. And this is Lumion rendering two views at essentially HD, and it's done. So now I can open the folder, head back over into layout. Maybe now if I want to keep advancing this presentation that we've been working on, I go to my pages and we can add a page, scoot that to the front, and let's see, we've got, so up front, first thing the client's going to see is going to be this 220928. Drag those in there, and layout really becomes like where I'm pulling this entire presentation together. You can right click and choose center vertically, center horizontally, and then shift nudge. That's kind of handy. That bumps everything by 1/4 inch. Shift and alt will scale it about the center. So that's how you get a few of these things arranged. So again, just building on what we've got. We're never just like starting over, starting from scratch. I'm always evolving and kind of like, building on top of what we already have, and always refining the design and always using the right tool at the right time. So that same model that's hopping into Lumion, and I'm going to get out of Lumion, for now. And then let's talk about how that same model that goes into Lumion, that's going to go in and create our construction documents, is also going to go into our Enscape for virtual reality. But before we do that, I just want to kind of show you guys my setup. I didn't really get into any sort of introduction here. I just go plowing right into the presentation. I'm Mike Brightman. My company's Brightman Design. So this is my office in Denver, Colorado. It's just north of City Park, and I've been there for just a little over 5 years. I'm going to invite you guys in, and I want to show you my virtual reality setup. But of course, you know, this is kind of the fun B-roll footage. Who doesn't have their skateboard collection on the wall? Some 2D and 3D printing capabilities. Of course, I'm always goofing around with all this latest technology. And then I've got a very cozy couch. And if you're ever in town, please stop by, and we can have happy hour there. But the real star of the show, the real star, is the computer that sits behind my desk mounted to the wall. That's my baby, right? That's the machine that powers those 3 monitors. This guy pushes all those 3 screens. This is where I get all of my work done. And I just love having this like badass machine that never hesitates at all. Now, inside this machine, it's absolute top notch, best of the best. It's a 2080 Ti. I could maybe do better there, but those cords that go out the back and that go and power those monitors on my desk. I have another set of cords that I can unplug and then plug them in, and those guys go through the wall, and those head into the conference room. And that's where we have a full-scale virtual reality setup. So I've got like all the cable management up on the ceiling. Basically, I have this HTC Vive Pro that hangs from the ceiling, and I can just kind of hook it to the wall, and I can use it whenever I want. It's really handy to have. So anyway, so like I said, that machine that I'm always working on is powering that screen over there. It's also powering that TV. I just swap those cables, and I'm ready to rock inside of Enscape, all right? So Enscape, what I really dig about that is it's this like one click to get me from a SketchUp model to experiencing it inside of virtual reality. So you push that button, it fires up Enscape, and so what we're gonna do now is take a walk through our design and really just kind of like pick apart like what we're doing and take a tour in VR. So I will say that in my opinion, virtual reality is very much a design tool. In my opinion, this is not a client presentation tool. The reason for that, I find that a lot of folks, when they get into virtual reality, one, you just blinded them. You put something on their head, and now they're like in a different world. Then you're handing them these controllers, and then you're asking them to like, you know, navigate a 3D world. And if they're not familiar with that, it just doesn't go that well. Usually clients are overwhelmed or overly impressed by the technology, and I find that they're often distracted from what I'm trying to do there, which is talk about the design. So when they get in there, it's always, oh, this is so cool, but it's not the design they're talking about. It's more that they're amazed by the technology. And the third reason I don't put them in there is because they can get sick. I still get sick, but I don't care. I love it. So I find myself in there like at the end of the day when I'm in like real heavy design mode, and I might just end my day just standing there, kind of like goofing around in virtual reality, just stand and like look at what you worked on for the day, and just kind of take it all in. So what we'll do is just kind of walk in the front door and look up there. And I did kind of show you guys this a little bit, but we'll walk through it again. And so you can see if we just buzz ourselves over here, now we're seeing that staircase really come into life. It is amazing as far as the design tool goes. Like, I'm just very immersive and, in my opinion, very accurate. I don't always model everything extremely detailed. So again, that kitchen is just kind of some massing. It's enough to get some drawings out of it. And it's also enough to really, you know, just kind of stand there and know that this is going to be a countertop. But I don't have to get into adding all the cabinets and the poles and all that. I just don't want to get into that level of detail. So as we're kind of marching up these stairs and getting to it, we'll kind of head up to that wellness level. And that's where it's like really starting to come together up top. You know, looking down over, haven't quite figured out how to get to the loft hammock yet, but hey, it's there, and it is a concept. So yeah, we'll continue on. Also, you do have the ability to adjust the time of day, so you can like turn the lights down to like set the sun. Enscape does let you add a bunch of lights, and you can go nuts on everything from materials and objects and entities. But me personally, I just think that pushing that button and putting it on that headset is 100% worth the price of admission. So that's how I use Enscape. Nice. So yeah, there's adjusting some of the sun studies, and then you can see maybe I'm glistening a little bit because that's a lot. So it can make you kind of queasy in there, but that's okay. Like I said, it's fine. Okay, so now if you're just kind of getting to know me today, I tend to then break down the virtual reality room, and this is where I set up my YouTube studio. So I do have a YouTube channel. It's Brightman Designs, and so I passed out those flyers at the beginning. So brightmandesigns.com/news is where you can sign up for the newsletter. That's really the absolute best way to stay in touch. But definitely, check out our YouTube channel, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And also, I do stuff on the Lumion channel, so you can check me out there as well. So that's my story there. Cool. All right, let's keep rocking here. That's our virtual reality, and now we are ready to get into some construction documents. All right, so now let's see, what are we doing? We talked a little bit about this. Once your model is broken down by level, element, location, condition, we have the ability to really pull this thing apart in very useful ways. So this is our Condoc elevation tool. We talked a little bit about this. And when we're using this with Condoc Pro, we're going to get some different options here. So it's creating all of our scenes and separating out our line work from our shadows. So there's two elevations, and then we knock out the other two. Also, on the other side of that flyer, we do have links for Condoc tools to go give it a shot. I might have mentioned already, it's a 7-day free trial, and you get access to absolutely everything that we make as far as Condoc goes. All right, and then there's all the scenes that we created, sequentially numbered, and then we hop in and start working with our section tool. So Condoc tools are plan, section, elevation, and perspective. So you activate that section tool, you find the right orientation, you click to place it, and then you can pick a different style. So typically I just go with like CAD section fill, and that looks pretty much good enough. Nice. And so we'll drop 2 sections on this one, and again, it's sequentially lettering our sections. Everything in Condoc, everything is configurable. So you can like rename the drawings, you can create your own drawings, you can create your own layers, you can automate your own system, you can automate anyone's system. If you guys are fans of like Nick Sonder, we can automate that too. We have drawing sets that can do that. So really, if you need to create drawings inside of SketchUp and Layout, this program will absolutely automate it. So here I'm picking out like demolition plan, renovation construction plan. Like I said, when entities are in known containers or known tags, then we can really break it apart and start to stack these viewports so that we get like our hatches broken up. And so we have like hatch A and hatch B. We have different line weights that we stack. And so then we use our Condoc export and then just kick this entire thing, one big set all the way. And when you do this, it might take just a moment, but honestly, the amount of work that this saves you as far as all the manual steps of adding these scenes and inserting the model and set it all up, it's a huge lift that Condoc's doing there. So we'll start a new document, insert all those drawings, and then you can see we've kind of done this already a bit, so we'll talk through that too. And so now we're just kind of stretching these guys around. The demolition plan, everything is very, it's one of my like mantras that like you can't explode at this point. There's no good reason to like break that linkage to the SketchUp model. So because we have saved all that demo stuff and put it into the demolish group or model organization guide, we can then use that to make our dashed lines for our demolition plan. So just really, my thing is just being super disciplined about all of this. And that's where the Condoc tools comes from, 8 years of work. So, cool, let's get to it. Let's hop in here and do another demo. How are we doing on time? 4:48. All right, we got 12 minutes here. Should we keep going? Yeah, okay. We're getting there. We're close. We're going to build this house. That's what's going to happen here. So, let's see. Now we're at our, so now we're in here, and this is the set. So this is our cartoon set. Just a few tips on dimensioning, like if you check out, use your scrapbooks as a palette. So I don't know if you know this one, but you can if you're gonna draw if you're gonna dimension, I just hover over here and you get that little paint dropper, and I can just click, and now all of my dimension style settings are updated. So like if I want to dimension at like 1/2 inch, you can see that that changes to half. This drawing's quarter, so then I'll just go over here and then you can start adding your annotations. You can double click to continue a string. So if you just want to kind of march along here, double click, really kind of like these simple, that's what I love about layout. It's such a simple drafting tool, and I'm given like full control over the way things look. So also I like that it looks like a drawing when I'm working on it. That makes much more sense to me than, I was pretty good at CAD, but like having everything being in different colors was a little bit much. So you can work through here and of course add your room names. Typically how I do this is just dump all this stuff on here, and then I just go back, get everything in place, and then kind of refine all these different symbols. We have door and window tags, whatever you need, whatever your system is, you can get that done with this symbol collection. But this set of drawings is actually it's definitely in one of, I believe it's in this class's class files. So if you want to take a look at this set of drawings, this project, it should be in there. And if it's not in this session, just look at my other sessions. I've got these in there. So you can use these. I also have 2D and Condoc 2D and our annotations, so you can grab those and take a look. But of course, grab a trial and you can try them that way too. Perfect. Okay, so I would say if we go and take a look at our permit set, yeah, this is the final set, okay? So now we're ready to submit this to the city. You can see we got our basement, we kind of changed gears here. We're gonna dig out the crawl space. We've got everything all dimensioned up. So this entire set of drawings came together real nice, like all the elevations, sections, everything's in there. We used them all. So I'll tell you what, it's time then to submit to the city. And I just know, when these drawings come out like this and they're, it's like, I was proud of this project, when you finally submit to the city and it's go time, and you hope that they appreciate what you're turning in as much as you do, but it's really just never the case. So we submitted these drawings, and unfortunately, these guys did not make it through. So rejected, and I missed this, this stupid little thing in the code. It's called an upper story step back. So they kicked it back because above 25 feet, low slope roof, you have to step back 10 feet. Now, I can tell you that when we do that, it was rather confusing. So I had to go back and forth with the city quite a bit to really understand it. Here's my understanding. On the second floor, the floor below, we need to take the furthest projecting plane. So I'm drawing that in layout. And then I right-click, make it a group, add a scale. That way I can copy that line back 10 feet. So now I'm hybrid drafting in layout. I'm throwing a scale drawing on top of my SketchUp viewport, clean up the line, and then we've got this. Then we go to the top floor. That line is essentially what's defining where I'm allowed to build to. Now, if you can imagine what this is going to do to this concept, this is not good at all. So it's gone, man, it's gone. So we're back to the drawing board, but it's not a complete rebuild. We've got the model put together. It is organized. So, at this point, I don't know, I forget exactly what I did, but I would likely go back I'd likely print the drawings, lay out my trace paper again, work out some concepts by hand. Very likely, I would then pull it back in with layout, use those Condoc 2D symbols, see if it really tightens up and if it is going to be a viable concept. Some stuff that happened here though, because of that upper story step back, that kind of killed the idea of the loft hammock over the entry, but then it moved it over into a much better place. So here's our basement plan. You can see how it changed. We now have a straight run stair. And then this is going to be our main level. And so there's our U-shaped stair that we submitted. Now it's going to be a straight run with this white well coming through the house. This is the level where it really starts to get good, because this level here, because now we have this office space that evolved out of that. And then we go up another level, and that's gonna be the wellness level, I believe. Yep, so you can see the loft hammock was up front, and it had to all move back. And so it really did clean up the plan. So in some ways, I appreciate that, that this happened. So that was the original rendering of the house, and then this is our updated version that we're gonna submit again. So then, just from a couple different views, you can see it was pretty towering up front. And so now, that's the idea, is that they don't want all these like massive homes, lurking over the sidewalk, I suppose. And so it actually improved the design, in my opinion. It really improved a lot, and I was actually pretty happy with it. Cool. So, let's see where we're at here. We're gonna take a look at, this is not gonna be a demo, I don't believe, we're gonna resubmit. Yeah, so let's go, I know it's a little bit of foreshadowing that we're gonna knock this thing down. It's gonna be fun. So, I think we're right on time. We got 5 more minutes. Perfect. Yes, 5 more minutes. And so here's our updated set of plans. This is our construction plans. All right, so basically we're going to, where is that? Here's our cartoon set, and here's our first submittal. And let's just open up I'll open up our folder. And we've got our revisions. That should be permit set. Okay. That permit set's already open. I'm missing something. Yes. There it is. Okay. There we go. So then we've got our permit set. This is the updated permit set with all of our changes in place. And so now we're going to go file, export, PDF. We're going to kick this thing out, and we are going to resubmit to the city. So at this point, we've got our new set of construction documents, we turn it into the city, and this time we're in. So now that means one thing and one thing only, it's time to blow the roof off this place. So this is the house as it stood, and so this is kind of like our final hurrah here, where we talk through knocking that roof off. And in Denver, we do a lot of pop tops with these old houses, because you can kind of like, well, this is interesting, you can see your demolition plan manifest itself in reality, because if you salvage, or if you limit your demolition to less than 40%, you get grandfathered in on like the garage up front, a bigger driveway. There's some other advantages. I don't know that we saved any money by building on the existing foundation, because this thing was like building an entire new house, essentially. So anyway, so now we're getting into, this whole process was absolutely amazing. Seeing these guys put up those forms for that giant concrete wall, and being on site the day when they were pouring that, and hearing them say like, yeah, I'm not sure, man. I was like, what if those forms blow out, So that was like pretty wild, but I appreciate that they let me fly the drone as close as I possibly could to their truck. And anyway, so I'll just take a moment to tell you that with the most honest and sincerity, that you guys can do this. So at FlexTools.cc, I've got a course, I've got all the training. I wrote this entire system down in my book, SketchUp Workflow for Architecture. This has all been sorted out. I promise, this entire process, I am meticulous with organization and just making sure that it is what it's supposed to be for architects and interior designers. That's what this is all about. So definitely check it out. I promise, ramp up, take that course. It's an 18-hour long course that I recently migrated over into FlexTools.com, and you can earn 18 AIA credits for it. So I'm really just pushing to make this as seamless and easy as possible for you guys to get up and running. So this is the house as it stood just about 2 weeks ago. Unfortunately, it's not quite done, but man, are we close. And that Core 10 steel, you can start to see it, that's what they were working on that day, is adding that cladding to the side. It's gonna be so cool when that's done. So I'm pretty psyched about the way it's turning out. Also, that contrast between the white stucco and the black trim and the black metal roof really coming together. So then also when we go, so then there's some more shots out here. Yeah, looking good. The detail on that is interesting too. The owner used magnets to sort that out, but Anyways, there's the inside. That's all coming together real nice too. It's so strange to have like visited this place in virtual reality. It's almost like you have memories of it. You go in there, then for real. And I swear, I've stood there and I have done that. I've looked at that wall and seen those stairs marching up that concrete wall like, 100 different times. And I've tweaked it, moved things around and sorted it. So it is a surreal experience when you finally get to go back and check this out and just see it coming out of the ground, coming to life. If we go to the front here, on the left, the owner does like fix and flips and buys houses at auction. And somehow he got his hands on an estate sale and got like some prehistoric skeleton that's gonna go in there. So I'm telling you, you gotta like check out my YouTube channel. Of course, I'm gonna like make a whole series on this and put it out there. It's gonna be a really cool house. This has actually turned out to be like my favorite space in the house. This is the office. And this would not have happened if it weren't for that upper story step back. So if we didn't have that upper story step back, we wouldn't have gotten that like much bigger space on the second floor. So I thought that was really pretty slick that worked out. There's the cold plunge, sitting where the sauna is gonna go. And then this is the loft hammock. So just imagine like a circus net that you could just drop onto, throw a bunch of pillows out there, and just have these like dizzying views from above, seeing like the front door, everything, inside and out, all the way around. This place is gonna be cool. I do wish it was my house. So, and then we'll take one more shot from the basement. Again, these like dizzying views that I love it. The basement crawl space got all blown out too. So there's like this whole space down there. And I'll leave you with one more image, and that is my friend Joe and a happy smile on it. So when I see that, when I'm on site, I'm thrilled, he's thrilled, and I really appreciate you guys' time today. So thank you very much. All right, so we'll see you guys at happy hour, huh? So.